Bear down, Chicago Bears. Guess what we've got? Kevin Warren issues a statement and he says, I'm glad Justin Fields is on the Chicago Bears. Does that mean that Kevin Warren wants Justin Fields to continue? Does that even matter to Ryan Poles? Those are the questions we're going to try to break down as best we can today. If you haven't already, make sure you consider hitting the subscribe button, like button if you like this content, and hitting the bell to be notified of future content. We go live at 9:30 a.m. Central Standard Time every single day, Monday through Friday, to try to give you the best information that we can on what is going on with the Chicago Bears. Now, in light of the fact that it is Valentine's Day, we're probably going to have a little bit of an abridged version of this show today, so that we can all kind of get on with our days and stuff like that. But in the meantime, what we're going to talk about is this is absolutely crazy. We're going to go over a mock draft that I just did. And guess what? I got everybody that I wanted. I'm not even kidding you. I did miss, I want to say I missed a couple of them along the way. And you might even see some familiar names, and it's the familiar names because based on the position that the Bears are in the draft, and I didn't do very many trades on this one, but I did take that first trade overall. I took the New England trade, letting them trade up to number one. And they took Caleb Williams, and then the Commanders took Drake May, and you know who I went with. But I got some interesting stuff at the number 9 pick. And then when you get down in the second round, you're not going to believe who I was able to pick up in that second round. So let's get into it. Make sure, again, that you hit the like button on your way in. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate each and every one of you for doing that. Kevin Warren, though, this is crazy, by the way. You know, it should be noted here that this is something that this is kind of a validation moment that I think a lot of us, if you're a Justin Fields fan, I think this is something that you were waiting for. You were waiting for somebody like a Kevin Warren to come out here and to just say, hey, I am glad that Justin Fields is on the team. Does not mean that Justin Fields will be on the team in a few months, but it's certainly a better sign than saying, we'll just let Ryan Poles do whatever he do. So, but let's kick it off. Let's check it out. Thank you so much for tuning in. Kevin Warren, in a televised interview with Jarrett Payton. And by the way, no disrespect, no disrespect at all to Jarrett Payton, but some of you guys are older, right? Is there? We're going to go off track, and you guys might hate me over this one. But is it just me, or is Jarrett Payton starting to look like Zeus from wrestling? Wasn't that a movie called No Holds Barred? Doesn't he look like crazy Zeus? What was he? What was he called? Debo on Friday. Like he's got the bald head, and he's starting to get that crazy look in his eyes. He's just starting to get this crazy kind of look in his eyes, where you're like, Anyway, love Jarrett Payton though. By the way, love this guy. One of the greats in Chicago, and I hope that he never, ever, ever, and the Rock means ever, leaves. By the way, today we are wearing a Dem Top Guy shirt. If you remember Dem Boys from wrestling, that was Mark and Jay Briscoe. And Top Guys, of course, are FTR. Tiny Lister. Yeah, that was him. But Kevin Warren, let's get back to it. Another day has passed following the conclusion of the 2024 NFL season. In an interview with Jarrett Payton on WGN, current team president and CEO Kevin Warren offered his own take on the situation. You can watch a clip of that posted by Jarrett on his personal X. And he says that he is a big fan of Justin Fields. He says he's glad that he's on the Chicago Bears. He spoke first about Justin's physical attributes, intelligence, size, speed. Then he dropped a line where he feels Justin has gradually improved. Then lastly, the clip ended with Kevin saying, I'm glad he's on the Chicago Bears. Whether Justin Fields on the Chicago Bears past April remains to be seen, but on an evening where Ian Rappaport, amongst other, have conceded that nothing has been finalized regarding the Bears' decisions, these statements from Kevin Warren are notable. Keep your seatbelts fastened for the remainder of this ride. So, guys, what we're looking at right now, is Kevin Warren coming out, giving at least an endorsement of Justin Fields, that he likes what he sees on the field, that he's seeing the improvement, and that he feels it. And first of all, Kevin Warren, it should be noted, not necessarily the football guy, if you will, not necessarily. I mean, he's the big guy. He's the team president, right? But he's not the guy that manages all of this stuff. So it could be fair to say that he really doesn't have an idea. He knows who he wants. He knows that he knows what he would like to see. Now, is he going to get that? Maybe not. Maybe he's not going to tip the hat either. But Ryan Poles has a decision to make, and that decision is going to be: do I take what could be a historic haul in first round draft picks? Do I move down? Do I allow for this thing to happen here where where we draft down instead of up? We get Marvin Harrison. By the way, that's my draft guy. Obviously, I think that Marvin Harrison is the generational talent in this draft, bar none. And if I'm pressed and I'm saying, like, is there any other position that I would really like to see to get, like crazy here? Maybe. I mean, maybe Brock Bowers. I feel like that. We are going into a more of a 2 tight end set. The Seattle Seahawks do run big, so I did not consider that, by the way, when I did my draft today, because Brock Bowers already off the board when it came down to it. But I got. You'll see. I didn't get my guy, but I got a great guy. And really, by the way, let me know. What do you think? Let me know in the chat. Are you team Justin? Are you team Caleb? What do you think the Bears should do? Should the Bears stick with Justin, like Kevin Warren here is he's indicating, he's not saying directly? Do you think that Justin Fields is the guy? Do you think that he brings, and by the way, this is what I do want to say, that I think Kevin Warren's logic is more than anything. I don't think it's football related. I think that Justin Fields is an amazing PR man. He's an amazing PR man. He's a guy that puts this team on his shoulder. He gives back to the community. He takes his time. He engages with the fans. He loves the city. He loves the fans of the city. He loves everything about this region. And that's important too. Now, look, I can also say the same thing about Mitchell Trubisky. So let's not mince words here. The reason that we like Justin Fields is because we see the product on the field and we know that this guy is incredibly talented. We know what he might be able to do. And we say, well, I see it. It's crazy what this guy might be capable of. So could it be that we're looking at it the wrong way? Could that be the case? And let me know what you think. I think that Justin Fields represents the Super Bowl. I think that he represents the opportunity for the Bears to take that next step, to reach that next level. By the way, for any of you who have said, well, if we get Caleb Williams, we're going to have to restart. Well, we're restarting, I think, either way. Justin Fields has the experience of NFL. He knows the speed of it, et cetera, et cetera. So he'll have an advantage for a period of time. He will have it for a period of time. He will not, however, maybe be able to keep up with Caleb Williams if Caleb Williams lives up to that hype. So there is a question, and there is a valid question. Okay. But here's the thing. None of that matters. Here's what matters. Can you get the most out of Justin Fields? And what is Justin Fields' upside, right? And when you look at Justin Fields, and I think that Kevin Warren said something very interesting in the interview yesterday, and he said, look, you have no idea the kind of man that Justin Fields is, and you have no idea the kind of athlete he is. He's like, until you walk up to him and until you're standing next to him, you have no idea what an Adonis type character Justin Fields is. It's incredible to look at, so he was like, this guy is just unbelievable. Right. So that's the kind of person that we want. I mean, that's the face, right? So now the question is, can we get enough out of Justin Fields? Does Shane Waldron, and that's the question really, right? Does Shane Waldron, Kerry Joseph, Maddie Reflus, and Ryan Poles, do they think that this is our guy? Is this the guy that can take us to the promised land? Because here's the thing, they don't have to settle. If they think that Justin Fields is second to Caleb Williams, then they owe it to themselves to make that move, no matter what Kevin Warren thinks. Now, Kevin Warren, to be fair, they're on the clock. For those of you that don't think that Maddie Eberflus is not on the clock or that Ryan Poles is not on the clock, they are on the clock. They're going to have to produce. That, by the way, I do want to say, I feel like Matt Eberflus was the right move. I think bringing him back was a good move, and I think that it was a great opportunity for the team to have some consistency. But that consistency should be, if you can hold on to somebody, you hold on to somebody, in my opinion. So if we run it back, Justin Fields, then good. However, we don't make that decision. All we do is talk about all of these things, and neither does Kevin Warren. So here we are. He wants him to stay. Jared Payton, by the way, wants to see him stay. Ian Rappaport is now saying we really don't know what the Bears are going to do. You ask DJ Moore who he wants, you know who he wants. You ask Marvin Harrison who he wants, and you know who he wants as well. There's a lot of people, and Justin Fields represents everything that is right with Chicago. And if we can turn him around, again, by we, I mean Shane Waldron and Kerry Joseph, if they can get the most out of him and you stand Justin Fields next to Caleb Williams, then Justin Fields represents the bigger upside. Look, Justin Fields is the best runner in the league. He happens to be a quarterback, but he's the best runner in the league. So if it doesn't work out, by the way, it might cost you your job. And maybe, just maybe, you can make a nice trade and get Shadur Sanders next year or Eric Malik. Maybe you can get one of these guys that represent the next year. But here's the thing. Even if you have Justin Fields and you run it back with Justin Fields and you get to the playoffs and you look good and you win a game or two in the playoffs, maybe you don't even make the Super Bowl. That's a successful season. That is a successful season. Now, I do think, by the way, that the Bears are poised for a Super Bowl run. Now, you might think that that's crazy. You can't win with Justin Fields. That's ridiculous. You did win with Justin Fields. You just watched him go 5-3. So you do know that you can win with Justin Fields. You saw the defense go from giving up 38 points to Green Bay, to giving up 41 points to the Kansas City Chiefs, giving up, 31 points to, what's that dumbass team, the Chargers, to locking people down towards the end of the season, going 5-3. So maybe, just maybe, maybe just maybe we're looking at the turn. And here's the thing. We know Justin's flaws. 112 quarterback rating in the first quarter, 98 quarterback rating in the second quarter, 89 in the third quarter, and a 53.4 in the fourth quarter. Again, I will say until I'm blue in the face that I think that Justin Fields is underserved by his coaching staff, that Justin Fields did not have the opportunity to succeed, and that we played very conservative, and that was just not what he was good at. And then he had to play from behind because of that conservative approach in the third quarter. And guess what? It blew up in our face, right? And that's okay. It is okay that it blows up in our face. Here's the problem. The problem is, what do we do going forward? What do we do? Do we make adjustments? Do we fix this, et cetera, et cetera? Well, they fixed it, or at least in my opinion. Shane Waldron represents a fix. Kerry Joseph, Thomas Brown, these guys represent a tremendous fix. Then you're bringing in Eric Washington for the defense, and it's a defensive line specialist guy. This is the guy that dealt with the line to begin with. This is the guy that helped to put Tommy Harris and Corey Wooten. This is the guy that put some of these big guys on the map when they had a fantastic defense under Rod Marinelli. So, I really think that we've addressed some issues here, some concerns, and now this team is ready for something special. And I'm going to use, even though some of you are not going to like it because you're going to go like, they don't think it might be, or however you talk. This is just how you talk in my head when you're talking crazy bullshit. But the Philadelphia Eagles are kind of the blueprint. They came through. They weren't looking very good. They made the move. They got Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts started to put it together. It didn't have a great, wasn't great. Then all of a sudden, halfway through the season, they started looking pretty good. The next year, they're running to the Super Bowl. Now they won the Super Bowl, but I don't know. But I don't know that that happens for Chicago. I just know that the blueprint is there for that to happen. So we'll see what goes on. But I'm glad to see that Kevin Warren took the time to endorse Justin Fields. That means a lot. Certainly means a lot to the Bears fans and the Bears community. And especially if you're a Justin Fields fan, then you got to be feeling good about that. But let's move on now and let's talk about free agency, because I forgot to do this again because I'm an idiot. But NFL free agent. Here's 8 NFL free agents who could be on the Bears wish list on the defensive side of the ball. Number 1 is defensive end Brian Burns. Now, the question is going to be, how much does it cost? Burns has been linked to the Bears for several years now. His name's been mentioned as a potential player to come to Chicago in a deal that sent the number 1 pick to Carolina. There were also reports that the Bears checked in on Burns' trade at last year's deadline too, but obviously the Panthers haven't let Burns out of their building yet, and there's a chance they use the franchise tag to keep him around if they don't sign him to an extension. If they don't, Burns figures to be at the top of the Bears free agent wish list. He's a dynamo for the Panthers throughout the duration of his rookie contract, with 46 sacks, 59 tackles for losses, and 8 forced fumbles in 5 years. Further, Burns is just entering his prime, so he and Montez Sweat could form an explosive pass rush duo for the foreseeable future. Now, let's go look at Sport Track and see Spot Rack, whatever, and see what Brian Burns' contract is going to end up looking like. Let's just type in Brian Burns. Give you an idea here of what it's going to look like to re-sign Brian Burns, or what his estimated contract. So he got $16 million on his 5th year in 2023. So he's going to be in the neighborhood of 20 to 25 million, the same as Montez Sweat. He might even want more than Montez Sweat. So he might be out of reach. I want to say, because we still got to re-sign Jalen Johnson. So coming in at 16 million at a minimum, that eats up a lot of that Chicago Bears salary cap, though. You know, we do have to look at, the team salary cap right now. When we look at cap space here, Chicago clocks in $49 million in salary cap space right now. So remove Eddie Jackson, remove Cody Whitehair. Remember, you got to replace them if you do that. But if you remove them, you're getting closer to 70 million, right? Because that's 13 million on Cody. Dead cap, I think, is like 4 million. So you got 9 million roughly, or 10 million, somewhere around there. And then you got 18 million on Eddie Jackson, about the same. So 26, 27, you got 70 something million dollars that the Bears would have in cap space. You bring in this guy at 25 million, you bring in Jalen Johnson at 25 million. Guess what? You only have 25, $30 million left. So now you got to get real creative. So you better be making sure that you got the right move right there. Now, if that is the case, then I want to say this. If we bring in somebody like a Brian Burns or a Chase Young, who'll probably be fairly expensive as well, or definitely a Chris Jones, if we were bringing in somebody like that, if we bring in one of these big guys, then that's going to be incredibly cost prohibitive. So I don't expect that we're going to see Brian Burns, even though he is linked in here. So my rating on this would be that we're probably not going to see that, but it's a good idea. Then the Bears have a decision to make with Eddie Jackson. And now we're talking about Mike Edwards, the Chiefs safety. Edwards has emerged as a reliable option for the Chiefs this season. He took over at free safety when Brian Cook went out with an ankle injury. So now we got to look at Mike Edwards. And what is Mike Edwards? So if we can pick up Mike Edwards from the Chiefs, then we are looking at this is the deal of a lifetime right here. He's played himself very well. He's got a $3 million contract, unrestricted free agent, 27 years old. This is the prime. If we could get him for 5 million or under, then problem solved, basically. And no, again, this is nothing against Eddie Jackson. I wish Eddie Jackson could still perform at the level that he's performed for his entire career, because Eddie Jackson, to me, is a Hall of Fame level, or at least the Chicago Bears Hall of Fame level kind of guy. You know what I mean? Like he's been here. He's been here for a long time, and he's done a great job. So I would say that Eddie Jackson should be immortalized at some point, with a lot of different players for Chicago, by the way, that haven't been so far. But Eddie Jackson would be one of them. So bringing him in around 5 million to 6, maybe even 7 million. this would be a good move. So I would be definitely interested in Mike Edwards at this point. I keep moving this mock draft to the wrong spot. So then we have Randy Gregory, defensive end for the 49ers. If we can't get Chase Young, then what does it look like to take the other guy that's going to be available for the San Francisco 49ers? His contract this year, $28 million. No. He signed $1 million contract. He's 31 years old. No. You know what? For Randy Gregory, if you can get him on a backup contract in this range of 1 or 2 million, you would, this is a serviceable backup. You can move on from DeMarcus Walker, who we're probably paying a little bit too much to at $7 million, I think, per year. That's probably a little high. So, we get this guy. Then this guy does not represent the new defensive end paradigm. This is your backup. So if you could get him, maybe we could, we get a little something out of it. Daniel Hunter. This is the guy on the list that intrigues or should intrigue everybody. Daniel Hunter coming in a little expensive here. His dead cap space, by the way, his dead cap space is 35 million. But it's looking like about 17. It looks like his salary in this range is going to be about 17 million. So if you pick him up for, oh god damn it. This makes me nervous, by the way, just so because but we're looking at, what do you call it here? Okay, so he's coming in at 2024. His contract is going to be, his dead cap room is going to be 14,009, and his his cap is going to be 20 million. It's a little bit less than the 25 that you would want, or that, that would be a little prohibitive. It's a little bit high on the high side. So I would say no. However, I mean, if you want somebody who's going to be a monster for you, Daniel Hunter, he is that guy. He has 7.5 in 14 games against the Bears, 7.5 sacks, 14 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble. So if nothing else, we're at least taking this asshole out of the mix and putting a Bears jersey on him so that he stops sacking our quarterback and ripping us down for losses. So, and again, the concern here is he's 30 years old, hasn't lost a step. Maybe get him to a 3-year contract, maybe get him on that downside. However, he had 16.5 sacks last year. So we'll see what happens there. Chris Jones, defensive tackle. Now, this does not fix your defense, by the way. I do want to say this. The more I think about this, I don't think that this is an optimal move. Not at 25 million. By the way, Chris Jones is going to cost every bit of 29 million, and you still don't have a solid defensive end. And I don't think that Yannick Ngakoue, Dominique Robinson, I don't think that even DeMarcus Walker represents the guy that we need in order to make this defense work. So Chris Jones right here, I love the thought. Like, I would love to get, if we, all right, I'm about to say the bad thing right here. If we moved on from Jalen Johnson and we just plugged in Terrell Smith and Kyler Gordon at that position, and we got somebody through the draft to take the cornerback position, then yes, this is absolutely a move that maybe we could make. Chris Jones and maybe a Daniel Hunter, and really just shore up that defensive line in some fierce way. But short of Jalen Johnson moving on, this is just not a reasonable play to include, because you're still going to have to pay if you really want that defensive end that's going to give you be a somebody who makes a difference. Chase Young, maybe 10 or 15 million, but he's going to want probably more. And look, there's a reason that Chase Young is not the guy here right now. So we'll see. But Justin Matabuki is another player. He's drafted from a defensive tackle again. So you have to look at, like, what is his cost. And oops. Looks like you can pick him up for about 3 to 4 million. Jesus Christ. 26 years old, 3 years. Okay, so he's going to be at the end of his unrestricted free agent. So this guy could be picked up in the few $1,000,000 range. So that would absolutely be a good person to add in. He's no slouch against the run, which, by the way, we want to stick with the run. Like, this is the number one run defense. We don't want to see something bad happen there. But he exploded for 13 sacks last season, which means that he's going to get paid a little bit more. So we would be moving up right there. Antoine Winfield. Look, if we can go back here and we can get Mike If we can get Mike Edwards, then we would not need Antoine Winfield. I don't like Antoine Winfield, by the way, and nothing against him. He's been a great guy for interceptions and stuff like that. But I haven't been a fan at the price that it would cost, in my opinion, to bring him in. And then you have Chase Young here, the final. And I'm skipping on. I'm skipping on from Antoine Winfield because he doesn't intrigue me like some other guys do. Chase Young. What is it going to cost to bring in Chase Young? That's the big question right here. And he got 23, 2.5, 2.5. The dead cap space is 30, 30, 30. It's like, I don't know. I mean, like if he comes in under 20 million and he agrees that he's going to team with Montez Sweat, then we're good to go. Like we're golden. Chase Young, and look, I don't think that he is the best player available, but I think that he is a young player. Eric Washington can probably do wonders with him, and I think that is an incredible opportunity for the Bears to really kind of make something happen. So let's talk about some of these mock drafts here, because some of these assholes are getting me mad. Because Jesus Christ. So in this 2024 mock draft, this is Bleacher Nation today, and this Matt Rooney. First of all, Rooney's a stupid last name. You heard me, Art. So his 2024 mock draft goes like this: Chicago Bears at number 1 take Caleb Williams from USC, and then number 2, the Washington Commanders take Drake May, and then Denver Broncos trade up to get Jaden Daniels. Arizona Cardinals take Marvin Harrison Jr. Number 5, the Los Angeles Chargers take Brock Bowers. Number 6, Malik Neighbors is off the board. Number 7, Olu Fashanu. Number 8, Dallas Turner. Number 9, the Bears pick up Rome Odunze. Now, in the event that we get Caleb Williams and we end up with Caleb Williams for whatever reason, then this is the next play right here. Rome Odunze is the guy that is available potentially in that spot. And if he's not in this spot, by the way, just to give you kind of a breakdown here, if he's not, Malik Neighbors probably will not be, but Brock Bowers could drop down and be in this range. But number 10, Joe Alt, and then keeps moving down here. The Raiders move up and pick up JJ McCarthy. The Patriots at 12 pick up Bo Nix. That's ridiculous. The New England Patriots are not going to take Bo Nix, but let's for the sake of argument, let's say that this idiot's got some decent idea. And then you have the rest of the draft, and we don't really care about that. The Bears are the ones that matter in this draft. Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze. Okay, I'll take it. I mean, like if that's the move, I still think that's a playoff contender. I still think that this is a potential deep playoff run. Caleb Williams, I think, would make mistakes that Justin Fields would not make in the playoffs. But I don't know that. I don't know that. Like 16, 17 games, that's a long period of time. Like maybe this guy just comes through and just absolutely smashes it. But now Bears goggles on, comes up with another. He makes an unprecedented trade and revamps the offense. So what does he say is going to happen here? And I hate when they do this, but they trade Chicago Bears and the Commanders. So the Washington moves up at the number 1, and they take Caleb Williams. And the Bears receive the number 2 pick, the number 40 pick. That's key right there. That 40 pick right there. If you can give me, and look, by the way, this to me is historic. If you can get the 2nd pick overall for your 1st pick, you can get the 40th pick, which means that you're in the mid-range, the high range of the 2nd round. Still a great place to be. Then you get the 2025 1st round pick. Washington Commanders are not going to be like blowing it up that much better because they take Caleb Williams. I'm sorry. I'm look, the rest of the team still matters, and that team's still got a work in progress. But 2026 2nd round pick, I will take all of this right here. Now, that means that the Bears are drafting at number 2. And what they say, he's saying here that the Bears are going to select Drake May. So then, no matter what Ryan Poles does with the 1st pick of the draft, I think most Chicago fans are on the same page when it comes to the 9th pick. So he's saying that the Raiders are going to move up at the 9 pick. And Jesus Christ, like, you know what? We can't even do this. This is just as goddamn it. This guy's going to make me. He's going to make me sick. Okay, we can't do that. None of what this guy's talking about is worth a shit. Like, no, absolutely not. All right, so here's my draft because we're not doing that. That is absolutely crazy. Guys, listen, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to these guys. They're doing their best. They're trying their hardest or whatever. But look, this is my draft. My draft's better than your draft, so kiss my ass. You know what I mean? Here's what I went with. Full results of the draft were this. I traded the first round pick, and I traded for the oops. I traded the New England Patriots because look, I think I'm going to get a better haul out of the New England Patriots than I'm going to get out of Washington. Now, I would also want from the New England Patriots before I make this move, I would want assurances from them that they are intending on Caleb Williams because I know Washington has to get a quarterback. I know these two to really need quarterbacks. So I would make sure that was the move. And then I would move down to 3 and I would take Marvin Harrison Jr. Again, Marvin Harrison Jr. is the generational talent in this draft. I don't care what you say. I like Caleb Williams. I don't dislike Caleb Williams. But when you're asking me who the generational talent is, who the best guy is, it's Marvin Harrison Jr. It's not Caleb Williams. That's all I'm saying. Caleb Williams, if he's a very close number 2, is still number 2. I still want the best player available, and I don't feel bad enough about Justin Fields that I would want to move on. I just don't feel that way. I see enough good and I see enough bad in the coaching that I would want to hold on to Justin Fields and just run this back one more time. And I also do this with the understanding that it is cost prohibitive potentially for me, but I also know that I'm right there and it might be time for that massive run. And I think that Justin Fields navigates me through that massive run. And then I think because he loves, I think here's what I think. I think Justin Fields loves it. And one of the things that I tell you guys a lot is that he's going to sign a massive contract and he'll sign a massive contract with somebody somewhere. But here's the thing, when he does that, I think with the Bears within 2 years, he'd be willing to renegotiate to free up some cap space because he wants to keep winning. I really think that would be the case. In polls, we trust anyway. So at number 4, Dallas Turner. Then Joe Alt goes at number 5 to the Chargers. Malik Neighbors to the Giants. Malik Neighbors really kind of locked in with the Giants at this point. Olufashanu to the Titans at 7. And then these guys came in and just got me right there. The Falcons at number 8 took Brock Bowers, which left me at number 9. I took Roma Dunze. Now, why did I take Roma Dunze? Because I could get him cheaper than what I can get Darnell Mooney for. And now I've got a 3-headed monster with my wide receiving core. And then I've got Cole Kmet still there. Mercedes Lewis for my 2 tight end set for block protection, stuff like that. So I feel like I've recreated this offense with 2 picks right here. And by the way, some of you might be looking at it saying, well, you know what? These guys they have the same kind of levels of talent, and look, fair enough. But there's got to be somebody who can run super fast. Well, Marvin Harrison and Roma Dunze, even in slot positions, could run superior to a lot of these burner guys and get open and create space. This would be DJ Moore, Marvin Harrison, Roma Dunze would be a fantastic set. Like this would be potentially, and look again, quarterback does matter. This would be potentially game changing sort of room right here. So that's what I went with. Now move to the second round. Who did I get? Jackson Powers Johnson. Ended up getting Jackson Powers Johnson at Oregon at the 34 pick. I do not think that he's going to last to the 34 pick, but I've now fixed 2 of my problems. One of them was receiving, and now I've fixed the receiving core at least for the next 4 years. And then I fixed the offensive line. And I think, again, going from left to right, I think Braxton Jones continues to improve. I think Eric Washington probably gets the most out of him. Tevin Jenkins continues to improve. Again, Eric Washington gets the most out of him. Darnell Wright continues to improve. Nate Davis, I think that he continues. Like, I think we have a nice line that just needs to coalesce and come together. And then we have a center, and the center, not Lucas Patrick, not Cody Whitehair, not Dan Feeney. Love Dan Feeney's fire, though. But now we've got a guy who's young and hungry and has all the tools that seem to be just kind of missing at the center of our line. Well, this fixes everything right here, in my opinion. We got 2 wide receivers now that are game-changing wide receivers. This is a haul when it comes down to wide receivers. So getting these 2 guys and then a center, the offense is fixed. Now we're not completely done because I do need a backup running back because we're going to move on from Deonta Foreman because now we can't afford to hire him. But at the 68 pick, I take Chris Jenkins. I thought that would be a really good idea. this right here. He's an incredibly explosive athlete off the snap, both laterally and vertically, and has suffocating strength at the point of attack. Now, the bad part to this is he's probably going to be a backup, so we're not bringing in a starter, but that puts Gervon Dexter into the crossfire. So yeah, I would think that and he may not be ready. We might need another year out of him, but this is what we're going to get. Um, and in defense, we're going to go for a defensive end, by the way, in free agency, and then we're going to bring in Rook Ororo from Clemson, and he's become a disruptive and alignment versatile force at the Clemson defensive line. 6'4", 290. He can generate awe-inspiring amounts of power, and he's a menace in pursuit with his prying strength and closing burst. So this is one of those guys that, not ready for prime time probably, but he played in a Clemson probably the weakest division, right? The ACC is probably the weakest of them other than the Pac-12. But look, we're looking at the number one quarterback in the Pac-12, so who gives a shit, right? But anyway, Chris Jenkins and Rook, they become our tackles of the future. Behind our tackles of the future, by the way, think about the rotation that we would have. If these guys are good, think about the rotation that we would have with Andrew Billingsley, Gervon Dexter, Andrew Pickens, Chris Jenkins, and Rook Ororo. That would be one of them. That would be incredible, in my opinion. It would be incredible. And then at running back, we're going to replace Deonta Foreman with Jalen Wright. We're going with Khalil Herbert. I really am a fan of Khalil Herbert and Roshan Johnson. I really think that we have an opportunity right there. So we'll stick with that and then bring in Jalen Wright. He's going to be the backup, probably above Travis Homer at this point, but we don't know yet. We'll see how he plays out. But fantastic runner at Tennessee. And then we take Malik Washington, the wide receiver from Virginia, because we need some depth at wide receiver. This guy represents I'm not saying that these are tremendous options at this point because we're a little bit deeper in the draft, but Malik Washington represents the best available wide receiver at that spot right there. That means Darnell Mooney is moving on. Equinemius St. Brown, we probably are bringing back, or Velus Jones Jr. And look, I want to give I like I like comeback stories. I really like comeback stories. So Velus Jones Jr., I want to see him just really kind of do something in this next season. So I'm hoping. And then Bo Limmer, he is the center at Arkansas, and we're going to bring him in because he represents a serviceable backup for the center position and the offensive guards. So that shores up a lot of depth. Now, the places of weakness that we still have are gonna we still need to do something about cornerback. Obviously, I don't know how we go with Jalen Johnson, but we need we need a defensive end and we need a safety. And then I would posit here at this point that that's where we look at Brian Burns. That's where we look at Chase Young. I mean, I think that in this draft, if I'm doing this draft, then we kind of fixed the most appropriate pieces. We brought in two strong wide receivers. We brought in a center and a backup center. We brought in two more defensive tackles, a running back and a backup wide receiver. I think we're set going into at least next season. I think we're really stocked. So Eddie Jackson, I would say, he's going to be gone. You can bring in somebody like a Mike Edwards at a cheaper price, or a less expensive price. I guess I shouldn't say cheaper, but less expensive salary cap hit. And then I think that we've really redesigned this team while sticking with the core of all of the people that made the Bears the 5-3 team to end the season. And so there we go. I think that we've actually done a fantastic job here of putting this team back together. So I see everybody's fighting in chat. I love that. So are you again now that we're done with this, what do you think of the draft? What would you have done differently with that? Is there anybody that you're looking at that's on your radar that might fall into these places? What is it that we're looking for? I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is, again, the only real generational talent in this draft. I think Roma Dunze, he falls. I mean, Jesus Christ, this guy is probably almost as good as Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors. And it's very weird that we have these guys 1, 2, 3. You know what I mean? So and you know what? Sin says JPJ will be taken early. I keep saying that too, and I keep running this draft, and I keep getting able to draft him in the early part of the second round. I don't know if they've updated it, but here it says right here that was updated on February 12th with player ratings, et cetera, et cetera. And it really, every time I do this, it seems like it seems like we got a shot. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, so we'll see what happens, but um, nah. So I think we did a good job. I think that, and look, here's the thing. If you don't like Justin Fields, that's okay. If you don't like Caleb Williams, that's okay too. We're going to have to support one of these guys as our guy going forward. I don't know that it's going to be Justin Fields. I would prefer Justin Fields. And Kareem here has a good idea here. MHJ and Bowers with Mike Evans or Tiggins or T. Higgins in free agency. And that would be a good one. Bowers was gone at the number 8 pick with the Falcons, so I couldn't take him today. And there we go. This right here. Clint Jefferson says it all. I like Fields. I just think Caleb is better. And that's a fair assessment. So in the event that Caleb Williams is here next year, he's going to have ultimately all of our support. If Justin Fields is that guy, he's ultimately going to have all of our support. All we want to see, um, all we want to see is somebody take the reins and do something like that. And Tom Ford says this dude is delusional because the Bears are drafting Caleb Williams. Good spelling, bro. You should slap your English teacher, by the way, at number 1 and trading Fields. Okay. Good punctuation too. You're killing it, bro. I am delusional. I am delusional because I read comments like that. But at the end of the day, it's my show. You don't have to watch. There are plenty of people here who do want to watch and who do want to talk about the Chicago Bears and not cry about them and call people delusional. So, and Leonidas, very angry, very, very, very rage bound here in his. Um, is I don't support trash. I'm tired of being mediocre. Time to move on. And that's fair enough. Listen, the Bears have not serviced this community in a way that has benefited us. And I think that, a lot of us are impatient and we want to see something better. We want to see a better product on the field. And the fact that I'm more forgiving about the flaws that I saw in Justin Fields doesn't mean that you have to be. The fact that I don't see what you see, that I'm like more like Merrill Hodge, who looked at Caleb Williams and started laughing, was like, that's generational. Are you kidding me? Like, you know, but here's the thing. I still think that Caleb Williams is a really good player. So I don't care. Like it's still gonna be no matter what, the Chicago Bears are a playoff team. They are a playoff team next year, and they're going to have a good run. And I think that if this all plays out to the better advantage, and if Latu passes his medicals, we should look at him. I think everybody's kind of saying the same thing, Sin, that will be, that's going to be somebody that we're at least going to have to consider. And look, you can disagree with my draft, by the way. I just took 2 wide receivers because I thought what we need, what we need is somebody who can catch the ball, no excuses. And again, if we miss on Justin Fields, and I'm not saying that we will, I think Justin Fields can improve dramatically, he can get a lot better. I think his coaching, again, underserved him in many ways. If we can get better at quarterback, and even if Justin Fields is not the guy 2 years from now, but he is for next year, then I don't think that I don't think that we can't get Shedeur Sanders. I don't think that we can't make moves in the next draft to get the guy that we want. I don't think that we're out of options. And let's see, free agent 2025 quarterbacks. The 2025 free agency trackers for all teams at quarterback shows that in the event that I'm looking for a quarterback, and here you go, guys. I mean, this is why I don't care, right? Unrestricted free agents next year, at the end of next year, are Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, Tua Tagovailoa, Taylor Heineke, Jarrett Stidham, Andy Dalton. Now, of course, we're not going with Andy Dalton. We're not running that shit back again. But I mean, you guys have to look at these things and recognize that there are some really good options that will be available if we have to press on to a year forward from this. So, in the event that we stick with Justin Fields, and then after a year decide, well, we're not going to give him $40 million. That fine. There's going to be some people out here who we can get for some sort of deal, right? Jared Goff, imagine Jared Goff coming in here and playing like suddenly become a passing offense, like that'd be absolutely out of control. Tua Tagovailoa coming here, there's going to be options. My point is, if we don't have our quarterback, and I'm not saying that Justin Fields is not that guy, but if we stick with Justin Fields and this is what we end up with, then we're still fine. Like you're crying about nothing. Really, you're crying because you didn't get Caleb Williams, and that's stupid. Caleb Williams is going to go where Caleb Williams is going to go. It really doesn't matter. All we can do as fans is be supportive of our team and hope that our team is supportive of us. And the best thing that I can say about that is, look, the Bears probably haven't been as supportive as some of these other teams are to their fan base, kind of living off of the 1985 thing for a long period of time, et cetera, et cetera. So, there's a lot to be said about that. But anyway, that's going to be a conversation for another time. I want to wish every one of you, each and every one of you, happy Valentine's Day. I hope that you guys have a great day. And we will see you tomorrow. But until then, please don't fight with each other over whether it's Caleb or Justin. It doesn't matter. The Bears are what matters. They're going to be fine. And for each and every one of you, bear down, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.